Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. Titans were on the practice field for OTAs on Tuesday. Jeffrey Simmons, L'Jarius Sneed, T'Vondre Sweat, Nicholas Petit-Frere, among the players that were not spotted on the practice field, all either working on their own or rehabbing, according to head coach Brian Callahan. Titans will be back on the practice field tomorrow to continue OTAs. College baseball, Vanderbilt took care of Florida with a 6-3 win Tuesday in the SEC tournament, setting up a matchup with Tennessee this afternoon in Hoover in a double elimination game. 4:30 is the first pitch. The Vols took 2 of 3 in the regular season series 2 weeks ago on West End. Also, LSU run ruling Kentucky earlier today, 11-0 in Hoover. The Wildcats, who shared the SEC regular season title with Tennessee, are still alive. Next loss will eliminate Kentucky. Tonight, the Western Conference Finals get underway in the NBA. The Mavericks at the Timberwolves, Game 1 at 7:30. And in the NHL, the Eastern Conference Finals begin with Game 1 at 7 p.m. The Rangers hosting the Florida Panthers. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Greetings, Las Vegas. He is Blaine Bishop. I am Brad Hopkins, and we are brought to you by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. You got us till 3. Vandy advances past Florida to take on the Vols this afternoon. That starts at 4:30 Central Standard Time. Down there in Hoover at the SEC tournament, of course. First round of the NBA's Eastern Conference Finals is in the books, and if you didn't think we were going to have a series, you are dead wrong. Pacers almost pulled it off. OTAs have started. Hearing a lot of minutia coming out of 460 Great Circle Road. A lot for Blaine and I to digest. We'll get off into some of those questions. We did get a chance to listen to Tyler Boyd, who joined Buck and Lucas in the last show, just talking a little bit about his status, where he is right now, where training camp is right now for him. And, of course, DeAndre Hopkins. He's in the news all but for the wrong reasons, not meaning wrong reasons by anything that he's done, but the wrong reasons mean like some people love to take things out of context and send out a completely different message than the one that you answered so eloquently yesterday when he was at the podium. But first, let me bring in my former teammate, my former roommate, my main man, Blaine Bishop.
Yeah, be busy.
What's up? What's up?
Man. Oh, yeah, man. Yeah.
How's your Wednesday? How's your hump day?
Oh, yeah, hump day. Oh, hump day's always good, man. It's that means that we're going down the downward slope. Yeah.
So when you get to the top and slide down, that's the cool part.
Yeah, slide all the way down.
All the way down.
Yeah. So, I'm wondering if that's how the Titans feel out there in that heat, man. It was a little scorchy yesterday. Man, it's always interesting. See, these are the things I used to think about, like, why are we out here practicing the heat? Why don't we go in at 10, out at 10 instead of...
When it's not as humid.
Right, yeah. Now, some people say, oh, because you play... Well, we're not playing quite yet. So I just, the scheduling, I'm sure, has something to do with that. But that's those things I used to say, and in my mind, like, man, we're trying to stay healthy, and some guys worked out harder than others and may not be prepared for this heat wave wherever they're training at. So I'm just, wondering why a lot of people are missing practice.
Do you remember the hill in Houston?
Oh.
That training thing that was like a 45-degree turf-coated ramp?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I went down there during the first organized team activity that we had as a rookie, okay? And I went on this dumb thing. And it was the last time I threw up, bro.
I
threw
know.
up. It showed you just how out of shape I was. And for big bodies, that's something to manage, right?
That's
well, I would say that the answer to anybody that ever asked the question, why are we out here in this humidity, is because we'll be in better conditioning, because that is the key factor. You and I were talking about that during our pregame.
But there's a time and a place, and you want to gradually ease players in.
Sure.
This is a different world. This is not back in me and your heyday. Get out there and go out in the heat. Nobody care about no heat factor. It's 100 degrees. Let's go harder. No, this is the time, like, let's be cautious, concerned about people's health. Let's make sure we get healthy, transitioning to a new coach. I want everybody out here understanding, teaching with our new coaching staff, learning them, building that trust amongst the players and the coaches when they're concentrating and not thinking about, oh man, am I in Bahamas or am I in Tennessee?
Agreed, but there's a pace at which you do it. And that pace basically says, hey, look, you can make a mistake, because this is what we've heard from Brian Callahan. You can make a mistake, but just don't make it twice.
Yeah.
And that will control the efficiency of everything. If everybody's out there focusing and not trying to make the same mistake twice, then practice will go smoother. But the point is, the pace is important.
Very true.
Especially when you've got veteran players that don't want to be holding hands with somebody necessarily. If those younger players can figure it out, like you talked about, being a self-made guy on your own, so it makes things go faster.
Yeah.
But you're talking about conditioning, which is the biggest. I'm talking about conditioning, which is the biggest factor. Because if you can play all 4 quarters at the same pace, you have an advantage, because fatigue does make cowards of us all. Eventually, you will get tired. And the things that you've been working on, technique and whatever else, guess where that goes? Right out the flipping window when you're exhausted, when you're grabbing your knees, when you're bending over trying to grasp for air. So I think that those conditions that they're dealing with now, that's why we say Miami and teams like play in the South and humid states, they have a better advantage earlier on, because it is hot and everybody is dealing with the heat. They're dealing with it more specifically than anybody else, because they're in more temperate climates. You know what I'm saying? It's a difference.
No, I definitely agree with your premise. But where I think you're missing the boat is, it's all about, when do you want to climax? You don't want to be able to play 4 quarters today. You want to be able to play 4 quarters in August. See, that's the difference. What your analogy is. I completely agree with it, but it's all about the buildup. It's just like when you start training, you want to start easing into it, and then you want to climax. So when you get to training camp, you are ready to fire on all
I dig it.
cylinders.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. Nobody's starting up. Nobody's running a 40 in the first 40 yards of a marathon. I get it.
You know the reason why I say that? Because my first training camp, naturally, I died. And then came in our risen, to a certain extent, because I was exhausted.
You didn't just do that, did you?
No. I thought I was I threw up. I lost 20 pounds. I didn't tell anybody. I was lying on my weight thing and everything, right? Well, when I come back the next year, I said, I'm going to be in shape for mini camp.
Absolutely.
My second year.
Yes.
And then I peaked, and then I fell off.
Yeah.
I ran out of gas. See? So that's when I learned how I needed to
pace
navigate,
yourself, bro.
Pace yourself throughout the off season, preparing for the actual climax, which is when the season starts.
Yeah. Well, actually beyond the season, because you got a full 17 weeks. Hey, but D-Hop's words were taken out of context. We heard him because he was at the podium when we were on the air, and we got to listen to him talk about, first off, he was addressing Steve Lehman's question about sleeping on Traylon Burks. Hey, yeah, and better than have us try and replicate what he said, let's just hear him say it himself. Go ahead, JB.
Group and the additions.
Trying to answer that without like a negative sound bite. Are we sleeping on Traylon? Nine means no in German.
What are the possibilities for Traylon this year, do you think?
I mean, Traylon's one of the most athletic people I've ever played with. The guy's as big as he is and fast as he is. So I'm looking forward to see what he does this year.
Yeah, right there. Nothing negative said, but there were some platforms that carried that he had no comment because of the 9 situation. If you stop the interview, it does make it sound like he didn't say anything about it, for which you can take out of that, he didn't want to talk about it. That could mean anything, but then he did follow up on Paul Kaharski's question and basically saying he's the most athletic guy I played with, so there's a lot of potential there. It sounded like he was being a supporter versus someone that was trying to avoid the question, Blaine.
Oh yeah, I don't. There's some pundits out there who's going to extrapolate whatever he said. He said right from the beginning, if you listen to the whole deal, it was like, how can I make sure this is not a negative soundbite? I would have just said, not even that, which is no problem with it, but I would have just said no and kept it moving. And then when they asked with the follow-up, I would have said, I think y'all guys need to talk to Traylon Burks.
He did say he was grown at the very beginning. He said he's a grown man.
All the things are leading to what I'm saying, because that's what he said. And then you stay out of the negative whole process of somebody trying to spin whatever you said, which he didn't say anything that was negative. So I just kind of would have said, hey, you guys need to ask Traylon Burks when he gets up here. Y'all can ask him.
He did say that in essence.
He did.
They
That's
just
what
kept
I'm saying.
following up. Yeah, they just kept following up. They wanted to expand on that a little bit more. Yeah. Hey, and we've also got a question up on X.
German, huh?
And if you want to give us your thoughts about it, who will the Titans' X factor be in 2024? We were having an interesting little discussion outside of the studio doors while Buck and Lucas were wrapping up, just answering that very question. And we had some varying answers. And you might too at 737-1045. If you got an X factor for 2024, we'd love to hear it. It's not going to give you anything, but you can still be a part of the show. Anyway, I think it's interesting to hear Tyler Boyd when he was talking with Buck, just mentioning the different roles that these receivers are going to play, and the responsibility they would have for bringing each other up. And maybe that's spoken like a 29-year-old, experienced veteran that understands he can't do it all by himself, but just by the different skill sets that they bring, the different ways that Brian Callahan can use him and them in that receiving room, it's going to be fun to watch, to say the least.
Yeah. So who was your X factor? You're saying it's Tyler Boyd? I mean, basically that's what you were talking about.
Well, for me, it was Tyler Boyd, only because what he said was truth about him having the most experience in Brian's offense. Mm-hmm. He's had 5 years of it as a Bengal. And if what he did in Cincinnati he's planning on using in Tennessee, then he is a tremendous asset for a quarterback that is still learning the system. He just mentioned the fact that he'll be in certain spots that he knows worked in the past. We'll find him in those situations and then learn to trust that he understands exactly where to be in certain situations. So Will always knows an area he can go with the football. Even if the play design is not to go to him, he can see the matchups and then see what they can then do to respond to that. And that's in my opinion, it's pretty key. To have a guy that's that experienced in the offense to almost give you the cheat code a little bit in knowing how to kind of decipher and break down Brian's offense.
No, which is very admirable by him, and I would think he would have all the experience as of today. But ultimately, it's still going to come down to the quarterback, and he's the one who has to develop that chemistry and understand the offense inside and out, and understand the variance to each position. And to me, personally, when you have an exceptional team, which I hope they reach, every game is going to be a different player in that variance role who you lean on, because it depends on how defenses approach you and attack you. 1 week it could be Tyler Boyd. Next week it could be Ridley. 1 week it could be Spears. But all encapsulated, I can name all those different guys. The quarterback is the guy who's handling the ball. So he ultimately then is the guy that must understand the variance of all the different nuances of the offense to make sure it goes and operates and functions as one. So that I would say Will Levis ultimately has to get there. Is he there today? No. But right now, Boyd has way more experience than anybody because he's played in it for a long time. So yeah, he should be. But he should be helping, let alone other guys, get to that point with Will Levis leading that front.
It's kind of like you said that Will Levis was your X factor, and you also threw a little bit of Tyler Boyd in there as well.
Yeah. No,
anyway,
I did
a little bit.
I said today, because naturally he knows the offense probably just as well or better than the quarterback. But ultimately, when you get to training camp,
well, there's only one X factor on every single team, and that would be the quarterback. That's the difference.
But here's what I said is I'd like to see the X factor move throughout the team. See, because once you become a really good, complete team, just think about our teams. Every game wasn't the same game. Different guys became the X factor or made a critical play in a game to help us win, whether it was on offense or defense. So, I know, a lot of the media likes to get one person, but in my eyes, a true, really good team, even when you take your superstars out of the way, that role player, which is you're talking about Tyler Boyd, all of a sudden becomes a huge factor in the game and makes a huge first down or play to help win the game.
Shaq will call them the others.
So I like everyone to be part of that as a team.
Yeah. We got to take a break, and we'll take more of your responses, too, on the other side at 737-1045. Dustin, you guys are already lining up. We'll get to you as soon as we come back, and we'll also read some from the F&M Bank chat as they answer the question, who will be the Titans X Factor? We've got that and much more right here on 104.5 The Zone. He's Blaine Bishop. I'm Brad Hopkins. Stick around. We'll be right back.
So many people trust Two Rivers Ford. Football players, working moms, business owners. Why? Because Two Rivers Ford has been doing business with integrity for decades. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.
Who will be the 2024 X Factor for the Tennessee Titans? We've got a bevy of candidates. 737-1045 is how you can give us yours. He's Blaine Bishop. I'm Brad Hopkins, and we are brought to you by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, of course. In about an hour, we're going to catch up with Jordan Dajani. He covers the NFL for CBS Sports. He'll give us the ins and outs, not only about what's going on in our backyard, but what's going on in other markets' backyards as well. And as promised, we're going to go to the phone lines right out the box and go to Dustin in Laverne and get his X Factor. Good afternoon, Mr. Dustin. You're on with Blaine and Brad. What's going on? You got to push me.
I hope you're doing well.
Thank you, sir.
With all the new additions we have on the team, all the great receivers, and the two great running backs that we have, I think that somebody that's going to be not really worried about quite as much until he gets on the scene is going to be a 6'7" tight end by the name of Josh Wiley. He's one of my favorite players, and I actually went ahead and bought his jersey last year because I think he's going to do big things, especially if Brian Callahan is even a fraction of the coach that I think he is. He's going to find a way to get that guy involved in the offense. So there's my X factor.
Nice. Thank you, Dustin. Josh Wiley from the University of Cincinnati. So he kind of was in the backyard of Brian Callahan when he was doing his thing up there as the Bengals coach, as one of the Bengals coaches. How do you think the tight end will be used, Blaine, in this offense that's maybe even produced more passing yards?
Well, that'll be really interesting because if you go back and look at the past history of the Bengals tight end history there when he was there, whether he was calling plays or not, they were probably around 40 catches of the lead tight end per year. So I don't know if that's going to impact Wiley to Chig or how much they will be involved in the offense. I think Chig had 53 catches or so last year, somewhere around there, somewhere there. So his numbers may be down, but will he be a more impactful player with less catches, and him and Wiley, but more impacting that they're getting first downs and moving the chains and nobody's paying attention to them, as the caller just said, and showing their worth that way. It'll be interesting because once you start paying, you got Ridley, and you got D-Hop, and now you got Boyd. Somewhere, somehow, somebody's going to get less catches somewhere, whether it's wide receivers or tight end. Doesn't mean you're not as important, but it means that you may not get as many opportunities, but your opportunities are far in between, and you got to make the most of them. So I think the tight ends are probably last out of the three receivers on that list.
Yeah.
But it's some point in time, as I said earlier, is I really like a well-balanced team, being from a defensive perspective. That way you can't hone in on one or two guys. And when they're impacting the game, it's frustrating as a defensive guy when you say, we can't stop all these guys, so we got to pick our poison. And then that's when the other guys rise when they get their opportunity. So,
yeah.
I hope everybody is a part of this offense with Levis leading the way, whether it's Spears or Pollard or whoever it may be. So I think that's what I'm envisioning this offense to be. Bananas, you have an X factor?
Yeah, I think mine's going to go to Calvin Ridley. We were talking about it before the show, and just what we heard from Tyler Boyd describing Calvin Ridley, what we've seen out of the first 2 days of OTAs. I mean, Jim Wyatt on his Tuesday Titan OTAs observation, he had one thing to say, that Calvin Ridley looked explosive. And I think he brings a different element to this offense that we haven't seen with the Titans offense, which is someone who is a burner and can just explode from that wide receiver position. That hasn't been something we've seen under Mike Vrabel. Like you said, Blaine, it depends on if Will Levis can, make those throws and perform.
He's a deep ball thrower.
Yeah, he is. And Calvin Ridley will definitely give him the opportunity to hit those deep balls. So I think Calvin Ridley is going to elevate this wide receiver core more than people expect him to. And I think he's going to be the X factor.
Real quick on that note, though, just real quick, I haven't seen someone with that kind of juice like Calvin Ridley in a Titans uniform since Chris Sanders.
Okay.
I'm talking about real talk. And Chris Sanders was an alternate on the Olympic team.
Absolutely.
This
still holds records at Ohio
juice.
State, too. Yeah, still does. I think hurdles, too.
Yeah.
Jael on the F&M Bank chat, he agrees with you.
Juice.
He says that for some reason, I think Ridley is about to have a fantastic year. Let's go back to the phone, 737-1045, and bring in Jason in Franklin so he can answer the question, X Factor for 2024 the Tennessee Titans. Who is that? Jason, you're on with Blaine and Brad. What's going on?
Hey guys, thank you so much for taking my call. Just wanted to say thank you to both of you. It's awesome to see you guys playing such an important role in the city of Nashville, along with guys like Keith Bullock. And I just wanted to thank you all three for actually doing what you do and still being relevant in the city of Nashville. And it's really a joy to see you guys do meaningful things in the city. So I'm very, very grateful for you guys. I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Arden Key is my guy. I think he's never started more than 9 games in his career. Played outside linebacker for the first time. He was a defensive end, actually. I know they're both similar, but they are different. Him playing in a 3-4. He's 27 years old. And kind of going to Blaine's point before you went to commercial is, as a collective, I think the reason why he's going to be the X factor is going to be because of Sweat and Simmons and Harold Landry and all the combination of those players. Landry coming back from an injury a year later. They always say the ACL, you're always better in that second year rather than your first year coming off of that surgery. So I think the combination of everything is really going to propel him to success this year. That's my key. I think he's going to start way more than 9 games, and hopefully he'll be healthy, and that's my X factor. I think he's going to have double-digit sacks this year.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
Nice contribution there. Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe in the F&M Bank chat, they also agree that Tavondre Sweat is an X factor, which I think is a huge thing. Mm-hmm. That's a great point that Jason brought up, the fact that Tavondre and Jeffrey, either if both of them don't require double teams, somebody's going to need 4 hands on them. Mm-hmm. And that then allows those edge rushers, the Sebastian Joseph Days, of course, the Arden Keys, Kenneth Murray might even get on that edge sometimes. Mm-hmm. Put your hand in the third state. Yeah, all those cats. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It should allow them one-on-one opportunities against some less capable tackles. Let's keep this thing moving. 737-1045. Answering the question, who is the X factor for the Tennessee Titans in 2024? Let's bring in Larry from Portland. Larry, you're on with Blaine and Brad. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, fellas? The X factor is this brand new coaching staff. We ain't never going to have to hear we got to play better, we got to coach better. We got a coach now is going to pat the quarterback on the hind end and tell him to go win the game. Woo! That's what I got.
Nice. See you, Larry. Oh, tighten up, too. Give us a tighten up, B.
Yeah, the tighten up.
I like that.
I love it.
So he threw the whole coaching staff out there. I will say, just through my early observations, this is a team this is a staff that was assembled for this moment. Okay, Bill Callahan had been thinking about being a head coach, wasn't afforded the opportunity last year, finally lands a good spot, brings his pops along with him. He brings in some guys that not only have playing experience, but playing with the oil derrick on the side of their head, for goodness sake. People that understand even the history of it all and know football. So I think that the guys that are translating where and how they should be on the football field, having experience is going to go a long way. And having a guy like we talked about yesterday, Blaine, a guy that really speaks to the professional athletes that he's coaching. Even though he doesn't have that playing experience, him having grown up in that environment with Bill being his dad, him growing up in an NFL locker room makes it easier and less anxious for him to communicate and therefore get his message across to the guys that he's responsible for coaching. So I like his Larry's
What would you say the difference between him and Braybor?
It just seems as if patting on the butt, go win us a game, that nurturing support doesn't necessarily sound like Mike Vrabel. He may be more of one that says, why didn't you get the job done? You knew the right thing to do. You know what I'm saying? We taught you.
He did do that.
We taught you. We trained you. Okay, but there's a difference, though. I can teach you or I can inspire you.
Yes.
Okay, so I thought that Mike Vrabel did a great job of teaching. It seems that Brian Callahan might do a better job of inspiring. In other words, I'm going to teach you what to do, but I'm also going to make you go out there wholeheartedly and believe you can do it.
Right, and that's confidence and not based off of fear.
Fear of losing your job, getting replaced.
If you mess up, you come over here.
It's called being potty trained at gunpoint.
Yeah.
What was that one?
That's the difference.
Which game was it last year that Will Levis came in? I think the Titans ended up losing, and they asked Mike Vrabel in the post game about Will Levis. He's like, "Oh, he's got to do better. Like he's got to make that throw better. He can't do that there."
Should we misinterpret his? I'm not going to say disdain for the media, but we know that Mike didn't have patience to answer some of the questions. Neither did Bill.
You
know what I'm saying?
True.
So the way that he answers questions sometimes shouldn't be interpreted to how he feels or his relationship with his guys. If he's being curt, if he's being short with an answer, because I think it's a dumb question, and I'm mad that you answered it, but I can't say that.
I think he thought everything was a dumb question.
And a lot of them do. Mike Malone from the Nuggets, he did it the other night. What's it feel like? He said, what you mean, what's it feel like? That's a stupid question. What do you think it feels like? We just get bounced out of the playoffs, so... some guys
don't they get paid to answer those questions?
I get it. Listen, I get it. That's part of the pay, of the pay grade.
All right. Now, naturally, sometimes coaches are going to feel that way. But to me, you should flip that if you're a head coach and use that for fodder to just continue on with a conversation, a long, drawn-out answer, because you're taking up time to answer a question. That way, they theoretically don't ask a tough question. See, you got to play this game. It's chess versus checkers. Now, you got to answer the dumb questions just like you answered the ones that are tough ones. So then you trying to keep them from getting to the tough question because eventually somebody's going to ask a tough one. See, that's kind of how I view it.
Vidal Harris on the F&M Bank chat says that his X factor is Tajay. And he also said that Vrabel would always get upset because no one would block for him. I can't imagine what he'd be with better blocking. And that's probably the case across the league. Running backs run for 1,000 yards if they had, some big pachyderms in front of them. They were opening up holes all the time. You know what I mean? You can get positive yards every time you touch the rock. But I see what he's saying. Tajay was more of that explosive guy, 0 to 60. You wanted his ability, right, to be able to take off from the line of scrimmage, as to where Derek was more of a dump truck. You know what I'm saying? That thing is not stopping on a dime. When it gets rolling, you're gonna get ran over. Period. But it takes a minute to get that thing up to optimum speed. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's he is an X factor. I would say he's definitely one of the X factors because you just can't drop back and throw the ball every single play. Mm-hmm. You've got to have some semblance of a run game, in my opinion, especially in the later months of the year.
Oh, yeah. Now, they're probably going to throw a little bit more. It's going to be vice versa with this offense. They're going to throw a little bit more than they run. But you have to be able to run the football in the National Football League. It's just no way around it as an offensive unit. But it's going to be a different philosophy. You use the pass game, spread them out to run the football, where we used to tighten up things to still run the football. So now we're trying to eliminate and get in space. And that's why you have these little jitterbuggy backs. And guess what? I hated going against these jitterbuggy dudes, man. I'm telling you, when they hit the hole, it's like, I can name any running back the backup for Bettis, and he coming again. I'm like, man, but he hits the hole faster than Bettis. I'm like, man, that guy is a problem. Then I can't see him. Where's he at?
He's short.
Oh, he's right in my face.
Yeah.
And then he ran right by me. So there is something to that. Trust
I think there's
me.
something right.
In our day, Rodney Thomas, the late great Rodney Thomas, coming back from Eddie Johnson. You like, oh man, and then he had power too.
Isn't that where they get the off the pace back kind of situation?
Yeah.
In other words, if I'm used to giving you these lefts and rights, and all of a sudden I come with an uppercut because I'm using a different cat, that's a punch you didn't see coming.
Right. That's
exactly
how
But the thing is, if Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears are one of the two are one of the same kind of guy. Aren't we looking at the same, style punches?
Yeah, maybe, but it's hard to stop them. It's hard to stop them.
Look, you're just telling them, I'm going to give you this jab, and you're going to eat it every time.
Guess what? When you walk out of the defense, you're focused on Ridley, D-Hop.
Yeah, the receivers.
Boyd.
Yeah.
And then you go, well, dang, their tight ends are pretty good, too. We can't sleep on them. Wiley, Chig. Then you say, oh, these running back got smoke. They got explosiveness. They get up on us. It's a wrap. And that's why you need both of those guys, because they're maybe too small to be a 20-carry guy. But guess what? If they get 10 carries and then 5 touches in the passing game per game, and then all of a sudden now they're impacting the game in more ways than one. And you just say, these dudes are dynamite. This is dynamite. And you can always have your run downhill guy, whether it's Chestnut or whoever else you want to bring in there to get your 1 yard.
Julius Chestnut. Go ahead, JB. What we got?
Also, with having two guys like that are similar on the field, like Tajay and Tony Pollard are, you're not going to be like predictable. Like, oh, you see Derrick Henry running on third and 1. You know what the Titans are probably going to do right there. You see Tajay Spears coming in for Tony Pollard. Oh, it's the same type of player. Are they going to throw it? Are they going to pass it?
They could be just giving him a break.
And you got to think, those guys coming out of the backfield, pretty decent pass catchers. They're going to take a guy from the middle of the field, opening up space for who? Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Boyd. So it's just another person for the defense to have to occupy, and makes the Titans offense just that more dangerous.
I'm totally put a linebacker. You're going to put a safety on him.
Yeah.
What are we going to do?
Wonder Twin Powers activate.
Yes.
Form of 3rd and 3.
Imagine you put
you don't
both
know
of them,
what you're going to get.
Now imagine you put both of them on the field at the same time.
Yeah. Ooh.
Oh, I'm loving that.
How about that?
Bananas.
I like that pro formation. Hey, Emmett Jones and Lonzo Wright on the F&M Bank chat, they both think it's Bill Callahan is the X factor. And, obviously I would tend to agree because we're talking about the most needed addressed position would be offensive line, and how they're coached, not only with what guys we brought in, is going to be an X factor. I think that when you look at some of the mechanics that have already been demonstrated from Bill Callahan making these guys better, you even talked about it during our pregame. You thought Dylan Radins looked better than he's looked.
Oh, man, he did.
Exactly. Ooh. And why is that? That's the Bill Callahan effect. We already talked about J.C. Latham being affected early on with his inability to push the sled with a few little adjustments here and there. Guess what? The dude throwing this thing all over the field. Yeah. So I would agree that how these guys are coached, regardless if it's Lloyd Cushenberry that you brought in at center, JC at the left tackle spot, who was a former right tackle, which shouldn't be an issue. Peter Skoronski was an investment from last year. You've probably got, and if there's improved play by Dylan Radins, you've got 4 of the 5 starters already set.
I would say so, in my mind.
And you can cover, would you agree with this, Blaine? You can cover up one dude on the offensive line.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
You can cover up one
You can
dude.
help him out. Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm
You got to be efficient, but, I mean, sometimes when you go against those elite guys at the tackle, you may have to help them out. We all know you didn't need any help.
Didn't want it.
I know you got offended.
Oh my God.
You got offended.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's what we want.
Touch my dude.
We got to get J.C. Latham there, and we got to get whoever's the right tackle somewhere close to that. But other than that, I think, man, woo-wee. I'm interested to see Latham's athleticism, though, because he looks like something I've never seen before in a Titan uniform. So I want to see his athleticism.
What do you mean? As an athlete or as a dude?
How he just looked.
Okay, I'm about to say.
How a massive human being. All right, how much did you weigh in your playing day? Not now.
I had a couple of ranges.
Right,
I was
okay,
340, 346.
Oh, I never saw the 346.
Yes, you did.
Wait,
you were living
rookie
with
year?
me. You were living with me at 346.
Okay, rookie year.
Yes.
Okay, well, he's a little bit different than that. With long arms.
When we were eating Long John Silver's, and I dared you to drink the hot sauce out of the plate, and you did for $100. You remember that? And you threw up in the parking lot.
I definitely know.
How was practice that day, Blaine?
Huh?
Yeah.
How was practice that day?
Yeah, how was practice after long? How was practice?
Oh, I was light.
He was an itty bitty. He was young Blaine Bishop.
So I'm just saying, I haven't seen a massive human being like him before.
Yeah.
Really, and to play tackle like that and see his footwork. Remember, I always talk about the dancing bear. I want to see his athleticism versus an elite pass rusher, because I'm still not sure if he's there on that. But his run blocking. Oh, it's going to be on point. So I'm not even concerned with that. I want to see the one-on-one, have the mentality of Brad Hopkins and all the great ones that were after you, Lawan, and go on and on and on. Ruse, that, hey, man, I don't want any help. I want to see if that can happen in a short period of time, quickly at the beginning of the season.
The number 10 Gamecocks are ahead of the Arkansas Razorbacks, the number 2 seed in the SEC tournament, 2-1. We'll talk more baseball when we come back, and also take more of your phone calls at 737-1045. He's Blaine Bishop. I am Brad Hopkins. We are brought to you by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Did you know Eurofix has a very different business philosophy? They staff all their locations with more staff than the average auto repair shop, just so they can be ready for when your emergency pops up out of nowhere. And have you ever noticed how hard it is to get a right now appointment for a vehicle repair? Where some dealers have more than 2 weeks out just to get a freaking appointment. But not Eurofix. Eurofix has been offering quality repairs that beat the dealer without the dealer pricing since 1999. Plus, they have a 3-year nationwide warranty and the staff to fix your car right now. So if you're tired of waiting forever to get your car into the shop, then call Eurofix. Owner Aaron Stokes says, we will never be too busy for our customers. We're here to take their pain away, and we mean right now. And Eurofix repairs all European cars. Eurofix says yes to speedy repair when others can't or won't. Family owned for 24 years. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can just visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com. But always tell Blaine, said you.
That's what Tony Vitello's boys are saying. Give it to me, baby.
Oh, better watch what you're asking for now.
The Commodores are coming to Cullen at 4:30 down there in Hoover. It's the SEC tournament. It's underway. As a matter of fact, the Gamecocks, who are ranked number 10 right now, are ahead of the Arkansas Razorbacks, who are number 2 in the seeding. So, and matter of fact, I think that the Vols winning against Florida yesterday, it kind of helps them in the tournament situation. I think they kind of wiping their brow a little bit. Despite what might happen in the SEC tournament, I think they're still in. I think they're still good to go.
I don't know, man. I'm a little nervous about this game.
What you mean? The Vanderbilt Commodores taking on Tennessee, the number 1 seed? You're concerned about what?
That. Just because it's in the SEC, and I think the fans just think, oh, it's a no-brainer. We all know baseball's a finicky sport. Oh, yeah. Somebody get hot, and it starts with, who's the starting pitcher?
Who is it, JB?
So announced for the Vols, right-handed pitcher Nate Snead. He's 8-1 on the season with a 2.67 ERA. He's typically come out of the bullpen. Pretty big arm for the Vols, can get up to triple digits. Vanderbilt will throwing lefty Devin Futrell. He's 1-1 with a 7.71 ERA. This will be Snead's very first start of the season for the Volunteers.
And why do you think, guys, that this is his first start? That's why I'm nervous.
What, lack of depth in the bullpen? What?
No. Why is it just not his first start? I'm thinking that the coach is not really preparing to win this tournament. That's how I'm looking at it. How serious
he's saving guys like A.J. Russell for later on, maybe?
I don't know if A.J. Russell's even ready. I have no idea.
They said it's about time.
I hope so.
There's a chance.
I don't know. How do you view it? That's what makes me nervous. Like, it doesn't matter if they win this tournament. They're going to still be up there ranked high. So is rest more important?
And the fact that they were one and done last year and still end up going to Omaha.
Right.
So this is
I'm just wondering.
This is how I see it.
Okay, how you see it, Bananas?
So
How you see it, Bananas?
in the SEC tournament and in the NCAA tournament, when you get there, it's all about pitching.
Right.
And so you want your guys, your starters, to be able to go on rest. So a lot of times when you throw your starters in these tournaments, they're going to be throwing on short rest. I mean, Tennessee just played on last Saturday. So if Tennessee's expecting to go to Sunday, they want their best arm ready for Sunday if they're going to make it to the championship. So they don't necessarily need to win in the SEC tournament, like you mentioned, Blaine. They don't need to win in the SEC tournament for their seeding in the NCAA tournament. So throw a bullpen game on day one. You save your best arms. And if you happen to make it to Saturday and to Sunday and get to the championship, then your best arms are ready. And then you can just say, okay, let's go win the thing since we're here. Yeah. But there's no reason to throw your best arm on day one when you could throw a bullpen game. Plus, it gives you the opportunity to stretch out more guys, because when you're in these tournament type situations, you're not going to get to throw. You're going to need a lot of arms, and typically Tennessee uses only about 6 to 8 arms in their weekend series. They repeat a couple guys. Nate Snead's one of the guys they tend to repeat. Kirby Cannell's the guy they tend to repeat, and out of the bullpen. So this is just an opportunity to get multiple arms stretched and have them loose in a game-like scenario.
I feel you. I understand what you're saying, but it's like, you've been resting for a minute. Not saying that just this day or two, is that big a difference. The turnaround sometimes makes a difference, but I'm glad you feel that they have that switch that they can turn on and off. The switch that says, hey, we need to get going. We need to obviously apply ourselves more consistently or whatever it is, because we're having this quote-unquote bullpen game. I'm just saying you go out there and you try and do what you can do, just like Corbin's got these guys thinking. He's like, look, we want to survive to play one more good game. They're just taking it a day at a time.
See, so why aren't they starting their starting pitcher?
They're probably going with the lefty to throw up a little bit of a wrinkle into the lineup. You know what I'm saying? Seeing how those
usually it's not the bullpen.
And see, it's all about maximizing your arms and saving your arms, because you don't want to burn your guy. You don't want to burn your guys out trying to win an early game like this, especially in a double elimination tournament when you're going to have a second opportunity. And like I said, for Vanderbilt, this is kind of the SEC tournament is something they need to show out in. Tennessee, it's not the same case. They don't need to win the entire SEC tournament to have a good seeding, a good placement in the NCAA tournament. They can lose, like last year. They can lose. They can go 1 and out, or they can go lose in the first double elimination, whatever, and they can be fine in the NCAA tournament. Have a good seeding. They'll be at home for their regional, and it'll be all good. And then they can get that mode on, just like they did last year. So Now, I'm not going to say that Tony Vitello is going to send him out there and be like,
No, he's still going to try to win.
They're going to try to
win.
Tony V said, like, if A.J. Russell is able to get as close to 100% as he possibly can, it'd be good to have him give us 4 or 5 outs in an outing. You know what I mean? They don't want him to come in there and try and be somebody that, is trying to save their season. They're trying to keep things afloat. They just want him to be able to contribute at a high level.
It's all about maximizing as many arms as you can in this short tournament-like span because pitching ultimately is the thing that will carry you through the postseason. And the more arms you have available, the more arms you have stretched out and fresh and ready to go, the better you're going to be off in the later stages of the postseason tournament if you get there.
Yeah. 6-3 was the game yesterday. Vanderbilt over Florida to advance to play the Vols here at 4:30. Listening to Bryce Cunningham, who took the mound yesterday at first. He only gave up 5 hits across 6 innings with no walks. That was actually pretty good. And he was mentioning Corbin saying basically, hey, be yourselves and trust what you can do. And that totally makes sense. It sounds like something that Tim Corbin would say. Hey, we got to step away. When we come back, we'll talk more about the SEC tournament. We'll talk more about OTAs and whatever it is you want to talk about. That is before Jordan Dajani joins us at 2:20 to talk about the NFL and the Tennessee Titans. He's Blaine Bishop. I am Brad Hopkins, and we are brought to you by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. We'll be right back.
Good afternoon. It is 1:58. I'm Joseph Bonanno from the 104.5 The Zone studios. Titans fans, we have dates and times for your first chance to see the new 2024 Titans in person for the first time, as preseason dates and times have been released. That'll be the 49ers at home on Saturday, August 10th at 6 p.m. It'll be at home versus the Seahawks on Saturday, August 17th at 6 p.m. And it'll be on the road versus the Saints on Sunday, August 25th at 1 p.m. All time Central, and all will be on Channel 2 in Nashville. The SEC baseball tournament continues down at the Hoover Met in Hoover, Alabama. Earlier today, 11-seed LSU dominated 3-seed Kentucky in an 11-0 run rule win over the Wildcats. Right now, 10-seed South Carolina is up 2-1 in the bottom of the fourth inning over the 2-seeded Razorbacks. And coming up at 4:30, it's the top-seeded Vols playing number 8 Vanderbilt as Nate Snead makes his first start of the season for Tennessee. And tonight in the NBA playoffs, the Western Conference Finals tips off between Luka Doncic and the Mavericks, and Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves. That game's at 7:30 on TNT. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Greetings, Nash Vegas. We are back for hour number 2. He's Blaine Bishop. I am Brad Hopkins. We are brought to you by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. We've got burning questions, not only on X, but all over the social medias. We've been asking the question, who is the X Factor for 2024? We've taken phone calls at 737-1045. They've given us their thoughts about this question. We're going to be joined by Jordan Dajani from NFL. He actually covers the NFL for CBS Sports. We'll ask him that same question, who he may think an X factor for the Titans is. But, yeah, man, I think that there's a lot to unpack there. Some people are saying it's Bill or Brian Callahan, the Callahan duo, head coach, offensive line coach. We've heard father-son. We've heard about Tyler Boyd. We've heard about Calvin Ridley being an X factor. You yourself mentioned Will Levis. Matter of fact, Calvin Ridley was Joseph's X factor for this upcoming year.
Oh, yeah, great. Oh,
yeah, so
there's no wrong answer.
I agree with that 1,000%. But also, like we heard Joseph mention in the update for the news and whatnot, we've got a Western Conference final tonight. Lucas and Ant-Man.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be fun to watch. I wonder if it has...
Did you watch the Celtics?
I did watch the Celtics.
You saw the Pacers?
Listen, first off, I thought that the Pacers were about to pull it off, winning in another garden, TD Garden, after winning in Madison Square Garden. Oh. It looked like they had it, but Jaylen Brown down in the stretch, man, hit that corner shot. Are you kidding me?
That was unbelievable.
And what's his name, Siakam? I think that this dude... Siakam. He didn't want to defend too aggressively, or it would have caused it to put him on the line for 3. Right?
No.
But just being in his face in the corner to hit that shot that tied it up, that ultimately ended up taking it into overtime. You know, as a matter of fact, Jaylen Brown kind of bailed out Jason Tatum, because I was already hearing Charles Barkley's voice talking about how Jason Tatum can't hit the big shot, especially when it counts the most. Now, he did hit a 3 later on in overtime that did kind of cement the game.
Right.
But in clutch situations, we have seen Jason not necessarily rise to the occasion. Yeah. And they are a totally different team with Kristaps Porzingis, too. And unfortunately, they won't have him. And if they do get him back, you're talking about a guy that is coming off of some sort of calf injury that might not make him near as explosive. Now, how explosive do you need to be at 7 feet? You know, I mean, you're gonna knock down uncontested jumpers. I mean, maybe you're not as imposing in the paint because you're not 100%, but still, his presence would mean a lot.
He's supposed to come back game 4, maybe?
Yeah, maybe they're talking about game 4. If
I thought there was 2 strategic things in that game, though, watching it. I thought the Celtics made a grave mistake trying to run and gun with the Pacers. That's what they want you to do. I would have walked that ball up like turtle pace to slow things down. They got in the rim. They got down 12-0, the Pacers. And then came back with their style of pass, cut. I mean, it's kind of outstanding to watch. They lost in overtime, the Pacers, at 22 turnovers.
Yeah.
When will that happen again? So I thought the Celtics really got lucky in this game. I thought Rick Carlisle, the coach of the Pacers, made a great mistake on defense. He should have intentionally fouled there at the end, so you only shoot 2 free throws, and they would have got a shot up to shoot a 3-point shot. And so, the Celtics, they should be like thankful in this game, to be honest. The Pacers, you don't know who to defend.
Right.
They have really, really good players, all unknown players, but known in the industry, and they play as a team. I like what I see. And naturally, the Celtics, they're supposed to get there. The pressure's on them, and they have the superstars.
Yeah.
With Brown and Tatum, as we mentioned. So, it's going to be an interesting series. If the Pacers would have got this one, it would have been
really interesting.
Boy,
really
it would have.
Steal one at home in the Garden, in TD Garden first. And I will say, Miles Turner, he had a tremendous game in my opinion. Was giving you the long range plus working inside.
Right, he did.
And to his credit, I will say that Al Horford did a tremendous job at points in the game.
Man,
he did knock down a couple of threes. Was aggressive on the boards.
Picking spots.
Exactly. But still, he's an older dude. You know what I mean? And it was coming off the bench and filling in for a guy that's injured. But I'm just saying, they got a lot out of him.
They did.
He did help, kind of put them at least in a position to win. But it is Jaylen Brown, it is Jason Tatum that have to lead the charge, especially filling in for some of those spots. Injuries wasn't necessarily a catalyst for them winning. But I'm just going to say, this is a series, man. This is going to be a serious. But I will say, Tyrese Halliburton, it kills me, man. He shoots a jumper like Lonzo Ball.
Well, he's a safe shot shooter.
He don't get off exactly. Right. He doesn't get off the ground.
And it's kind of unorthodox.
What is going on?
I really paid attention when he was in the 3-point in the All-Star game, and I was like, man, who is this cat? Then I realized, he was with the Sacramento Kings. Nobody was paying attention to them, at least on this side of the world.
Yeah.
And it was like, hey, man, this guy is really good.
Yeah.
It's just his style and form is a little bit different, unorthodox, but it goes in.
It does go in, by and large.
Pacers have players that can put the ball in the basket.
Yeah.
No way around. And by the way, Shepard went to Belmont.
Stop it.
Yes.
Nice. How about that?
Yeah.
And switching gears to the Celtics real quick before we go to the phone to 737-1045. I'm glad that Derek Wright cut his hair off. Because remember, he was holding on. He was holding on to that leather wig for a long time. That's what I'm saying. You don't have a forehead. You have a 5 head. You got to salute like this. Yes, sir.
I want to ask Bananas, but he's on the phone. Yeah. There's somebody on the SEC network for baseball.
I saw
I was like, what? I was like, what is he doing?
What's going on with the hair?
Oh my God, it's in the middle of his head.
Stop that. We got to be better than that.
No, I know.
Yes, we did.
I focused on that when I'm watching.
I couldn't think of anything else he was saying because I was looking at the hairline. Seriously, it's distracting.
Like, oh man, when mine get there, it's getting there. I'm gonna just cut it off, man.
Just let it go. Just let it go. The natural cul-de-sac might work for some people, but it don't work for everybody. Let's go to the phone. 737-1045. Let's bring in Paul in West Nashville. You're on with Blaine and Brad. How are you, Paul?
Hey, doing well, guys. Doing well. I just had a question about NFL scheduling. Y'all talking about baseball scheduling, and it kind of triggered my thought process last hour. But my Steelers and I know Bert's Ravens have 3 games in 11 days. I mean, as a player, how tough is that, and how big of a disadvantage is that? To me, it'd feel like you're probably getting in like 3 car wrecks for like an 11-day time. I'll go ahead and hang it in the list. Appreciate y'all. Love the show.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate you. He's considered old.
I'm
but
right.
You are if you're competing. Philly Mike. He wants to talk about the Pacers, Blaine. Welcome in. You're on with Blaine and Brad. What's going on, Philly Mike?
Yo, what's up, brothers, man? It was great seeing y'all at DN a couple weeks ago.
Philly Mike at the barbershop. What's going on, Philly Mike?
Yeah, what's going on, man? Classics, man. Classics barbershop.
Yes, sir. How you doing? You doing all right?
Come on, educate us there, Mike.
Just working hard, man. Just working hard, doing my thing, man. And it was great seeing you guys a couple weeks ago at the Great Console event.
Yep.
And, a couple things, man. Being an ex-college, Division I college basketball player, man, watching that ending last night, Rick Carlisle, and he has done this in the past, and Blaine, you were right on target. He did not foul when he should have. But the play prior to that, The play before that, it's 8 seconds left. You have the ball. You never throw the ball toward your opponent's basket. Okay? That was a huge mistake because Siakam didn't go for the ball as hard as you should have, and then the ball was tipped out, turnover, Boston gets a 3-point shot. You can't do that, man. And like you said, you're in Boston Garden. You got to win that first game. You're right there, man. So this could cost them. I know they're a young team, but this could cost them in the end. But I just can't believe that a guy like that Coach Carlisle with all his experience as a player and coach, would have his guy throw the ball toward the Celtics basket. You don't do that. Throw it the other direction. Get some of that clock to go down. They're going to foul you. Just get the ball in.
Yeah, but this isn't going to be a boat race like most people thought, is it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, it's not. It's going to be a long series, probably 6, but the Celtics will probably end up winning. But if Indiana plays smarter and cuts down on those turnovers, then they have a good shot, man. They have a good shot. So, look, man, you guys doing a great job. Good luck, and keep it rolling, brothers.
Thanks, Philly Mike.
Good job, Mike, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Take care now.
Yeah. But, boy, 22 turnovers. They're not going to
That's a lot.
Yeah, that
It was an ebbs and flow situation,
Right,
though, too.
it was.
Because think about it.
But he kept calling timeouts during a redder part of the game, Ricardo, which I thought was great. Every time Boston went on a run, timeout. And I was like, okay, he's got him. And then they come back and get back into their flow. And I was like, okay, cool. It's just, man, those critical decisions in clutch time, it may end up costing them the entire series. Because you just never know. Once, the Celtics could get on a run in here, they could sweep them, even though they win close games. So I wouldn't be. I still think it's going to be every game is going to be a good one.
Yeah,
I'm thinking it's not going to be any blowouts here.
We'll revisit this conversation after we finish with CBS Sports' very own Jordan Dajani. He joins us next to talk about the Titans and the waxings on in the NFL. He's Blaine Bishop. I am Brad Hopkins. We are brought to you by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Stick around for more. We'll be right back.
Tennessee, are you ready to embrace spring with confidence? Check out Cool Ray today and let's make this season a breeze. Get $1,500 off select whole home generators and ensure your family's comfort and safety. We'll also pay you to upgrade. So get $1,000 when you upgrade your HVAC system with Cool Ray. Or you could try out the $49 tune-up and refresh for your system and beat allergy season with a 10% off indoor air quality products. And let the experts at Cool Ray clear your drain for $93 or you won't be charged. And in honor of National Military Appreciation Month, Cool Ray will be offering an additional 5% discount for all active military members and veterans, making it a total of 10% off during the entire month of May. How about that? Cool Ray is the only one doing that, and that's why they're their partner in comfort no matter the season. So here's to spring filled with sunshine, smiles, and stress-free living. Cool Ray, keeping Tennessee cool, plumbing right, and lights bright.
Who is your X factor for 2024 on the Tennessee Titans? Questions like that and more are for our next guest, Jordan Dajani from CBS Sports. He joins us now. He's Blaine Bishop. I am Brad Hopkins, and we are brought to you by All Four Seasons Garages. We've been asking that question almost all show, Jordan, about who the Titans' X factor is for 2024. We've had varying responses, a lot of candidates. If we were to ask you that same question, who is an X factor for 2024, Jordan, what would you say?
What's going on, my friends? Thanks for having me on the show this afternoon. It's a good question. I don't want the X factor to be a single player, right? In my ideal world, the X factor is going to be Brian Callahan's scheme and the challenges it presents. I'm talking about versatility. I'm talking about offensive options. I want the X factor for the Titans to be that they have too many ways to hurt you on offense. 1 week, the primary playmaker is going to be Calvin Ridley. The next, it's DeAndre Hopkins. The next week, it's Tyler Boyd stepping up and leading the team and receiving against a weaker slot corner. Then the next week, it's the running backs. They rule the day, both on the ground and as receivers through the air. Then we got Chigo Conquo catching a game-winning touchdown the next week, or Traylon Burke stepping up in a gadget role and having a big game. Yeah. I want the X factor for the Titans to be all the options they have for Will Levis to use in 2024.
Jordan, we know you're connected from the Pacific Coast to the Atlantic. What are markets outside of Middle Tennessee thinking about the Tennessee Titans this year? Are we a dark horse or are we a Shetland pony?
It's such a good question because I've heard both. I really have heard both. I think that we have some insiders over at CBSSports.com that are talking a lot about win totals during this time of the offseason. And I've seen some people a little low on the Titans, thinking that their win total might be a little too high, which is something that I definitely disagree with. But on the other hand, I'm talking to other national radio hosts around the league, and they are starting to talk about the Titans a little bit more. You look on paper with the kind of offseason that they've had, there's a new level of optimism with a first-year offensive-minded head coach, and they think that the Titans could be, somewhat of a sleeper, not as a Super Bowl candidate, but someone who could certainly make some noise in the AFC South. So I think the Titans fit squarely in that category of an interesting team for 2024.
He is Jordan Dajani joining us here on the program.
Jordan, owners' meetings are going on here in Tennessee. Any inside info or what they're talking about? Some of the, subjects. I know one of them is about having, electrical during preseason. I don't know if he's even doing a regular season, but they're toying with the idea of doing first downs without the handheld first down markers. You know anything about that or anything else that we need to know about the NFL?
Yeah, good question. NFL meetings are always interesting because you don't exactly know what's on the docket. You just kind of have to sit back and wait to see what's going to be talked about and what's going to be voted on, which is always kind of funny. But you bring up this change going to electronic first down measuring, and that's something that I believe my guy, Jonathan Jones, CBS Sports Insider, broke. And as he put it, the chain may no longer keep us together. So this preseason, the NFL will employ an optical tracking system for line to gain ruling. So again, an electronic system will help the way that first downs are measured, and it's supposed to be more accurate than your typical chain gang. And what's interesting is that this is possible for it to pass for the regular season in 2024. But the other thing I will say is keep in mind that the chain gang, they're still going to be on the sidelines, right? Because they're going to be reference points for coaches and players when they're actually playing football to see where the first down measurement is. They're also going to be, potential backup confirmations should the need arise. So that was a pretty big development in the league. As we all know, technology has advanced past where the NFL is being ruled. So we really need to adopt this kind of change in philosophy when it comes to electronically ruling this game, if you will. But the other thing that I'd like to talk about is probably Tom Brady and his part-time ownership of the Raiders. That is still something that hasn't become official just yet. And what's interesting is Roger Goodell said that progress is being made in terms of Brady's part ownership. But according to reports, it's not going to be voted on. So we will continue to kick this can down the road. Now, what's probably notable about this is that the potential problem doesn't have to do with Tom Brady returning to play quarterback at the age of 75, but him working for Fox, right? NFL media reported that multiple teams are against Tom Brady being a part-time owner and calling games for Fox. So on the surface, that may sound a little silly, but you have to take into consideration all that comes with the Fox gig, from production meetings with coaches and players to access to practices and facilities of other teams. So again, there's more things to work with through this, but I think what's the bottom line is that according to reports, it's not going to be voted on here in Nashville. So it's just another thing we're going to have to continue to track as the months progress.
I can't remember where I saw it first. I guess some form of part ownership of the Atlanta Falcons, minority ownership. Did you see that? I think it was.
I did see that. Yeah, I can't really wax poetic on what is exactly happening here, but I did see that the Atlanta Falcons added 4 limited partners to the team's ownership group. Dominic Dawes, Will Packer, Rashawn Williams, Rosalind Brewer, I'm seeing. So that was pretty new. I don't exactly know how this is going to affect the league at large, but limited partners for the Atlanta Falcons. That is true.
Well, we have a live. We're on with Jordan Dajani, NFL writer for CBS Sports. We have some, I guess, I'm not going to call them holdouts, but guys who aren't showing up for OTAs. We got Jefferson, T. Higgins, some guys over there with the Cowboys as well. Do you see anything getting resolved anytime soon for any of those guys?
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest headlines of OTAs, if you guys were to ask me, it's always the holdouts, right? Every single year there's players who are not in attendance. And this year there are several big names, from Brandon Ayuk to T. Higgins, who's, by the way, not even eligible to practice right now. He hasn't even signed his franchise tender. Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Tristan Wirfs, Cortland Sutton, Cameron Hayward. Those are just some of the names that are not present at OTAs. Now, when it comes to holdouts being resolved, it's tough to predict because these are all different players at different stages of their careers that play different positions for different franchises. And these are all different facets that play a part in a potential resolution. But one thing I will continue to point to is that much like the Detroit Lions, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have done a tremendous job this offseason when it comes to taking care of their own players, right? They re-signed Baker Mayfield. They re-signed Mike Evans. They got Levante David. They made Antoine Winfield the highest paid defensive back in NFL history. So now you've got your franchise left tackle, Tristan Wirfs, who is looking for a new lucrative deal. Again, there's a lot of things that play into a potential resolution, but you have to read the tea leaves and look at the Buccaneers. They've done a great job when it comes to taking care of their homegrown talent. I think Tristan Wirfs could be someone who maybe gets that contract that he's after. But again, there's a lot of parts that play a role into this.
One more, and that is the Bears. The Bears is the first game. They're at home. They're all pumped up about their first-round pick, the quarterback, first pick of the draft. And they're favored by 4.5. What did you think about when you saw that 4.5 number? Bears favored.
I was pretty mind blown with that one. I was wrong with you guys. I came on the show last week and I was thinking like 1.5, 2.5. And that's why I told your listeners, hey, hold off if you want to bet on the Bears because I'm anticipating some line movement. But boy, was I wrong. That line has moved enough where you guys can feel comfortable putting some money on Tennessee if you anticipate a close game or if you think the Titans will win outright. There's already good value there with the 4.5-point line. So, yes, that absolutely shocked me. I told you guys that this offseason machine, when it comes to the Bears hype, is going to continue to churn, and it seems like it's already churned to a max volume, if you will. I know that Caleb Williams looks great out there throwing passes against the air, and Rome Odunze is an enticing weapon. They made the trade for Keenan Allen as well. The Bears are going to be a fun team to watch for sure, but when it comes to success on the field immediately, that's where there's a lot of questions to be answered. So I did a column for CBS Sports trying to pick games against the spread for week 1, including my top 5 picks. I made the Tennessee Titans plus 4.5, one of my best picks. I think that's a pretty big spread. But on top of that, as I brought up last week, we haven't seen a quarterback pick number 1 overall win his first NFL career start in like the last 15 times. So if you're going to give me 4.5 points in that situation, well, I'm going to take it every time.
Oh, well, I'm just going to make sure I use Jordan Dajani's $100 to bet on that game. NFL writer for CBS Sports.
I know that's right. Hey, you know what, though? The Titans could lose that game and still cover Jordan. But on paper, how does Caleb Williams match up against the Titans' defense, do you think?
Well, I think that's kind of the X factor when it comes to this matchup. I mean, it's really fun to speculate what Denard Wilson's defense is going to look like. There's 2 things that really stand out to me. I feel like it's going to be aggressive. That certainly has been a descriptor that has been utilized by many players who play defense for Tennessee. But the other thing about being aggressive is I want it to be a defensive scheme that's tough to figure out, right? You don't exactly know where Tennessee is going to be bringing the pressure from, when exactly it's going to be deployed either. And that's going to be really tough for a first-year quarterback who's playing his first professional game to figure out. So that's my thing. If I'm a defensive coordinator for a team and I'm playing a rookie quarterback, I'm really pulling out the tricks when it comes to different looks, and I'm trying to be aggressive with my system in general. So that's why I think that having Denard Wilson might be really fun. And to add on to that, by the way, where does Denard Wilson specialize on defense? It's with the defensive backs. And that's where you can have most of your flexibility and creativity when it comes to bringing pressure, disguising your zone coverage, man coverage, things like that. That can get really confusing for a first-year quarterback. So, yeah, just more evidence for my plus 4.5 pick for the Tennessee Titans.
Jordan, we know the NFL is playing on 3 different continents this year. As a matter of fact, that was part of the discussion here in Nashville at the owners' meeting, international business strategy, which does include international future games and venues. Where do you think the NFL needs to go next to reach that global recognition? Or is it even possible?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they need to. Maybe that's a good question, because I don't think they need to go somewhere specific to get more coverage, but I do think that placing more chess pieces overseas in general is something that will help their goal. So the NFL's head of international affairs said that there is a big set of international markets that the league is looking at, and one of them is actually down under with Australia. So the NFL Academy is opening up something on the Gold Coast in Australia soon. We have games in Germany, England, Brazil. I think Dublin, Ireland could be next up on the docket. And now Australia is going to be in the mix. I've told you guys time and time again, the NFL wants to be a global market, if you will. They want to be a global sport. They want to take over soccer. So what comes with that is not only playing games overseas, but who knows, maybe in the future we'll have a division overseas or a couple teams overseas, whatever it may be. But there's no doubt about it. The NFL is being very aggressive with how it markets itself outside of the United States of America.
Real quick, Jordan, how long do you think before an NFL player is a global superstar, an international superstar, if you will?
You know, we might already have one with Patrick Mahomes. Who knows? But I know it's not someone like Messi. But
yeah, right.
I think that if you play more games overseas, and again, if you start having a division or multiple teams stationed overseas, then that is going to be something that just adds to your popularity as a market, as a sport, and of course with the players as well. So the NFL, even if it doesn't play all these games overseas, it certainly is a market that is becoming more well-known just across the globe. So I don't think we're very far away to answer your question.
Here's Jordan Dajani from CBS Sports.
Well, Jordan, I saw also at the owners' meeting that I think they have solidified that Pittsburgh is going to get the draft. I forget what year it is. Did you see that?
Yes, I did see that. 2026, the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is going to host the 2026 NFL draft. So I think next year is going to be in Green Bay. Pittsburgh's been chosen for 2026, and I believe that's as far as they've announced out.
I know you're a big Pittsburgh guy, right? So, you know, a little bit. Tell us how you think they should set that up in Pittsburgh.
Well, I'll tell you, I think that the NFL's done a pretty tremendous job when it comes to appealing to some of the more passionate fan bases when it comes to hosting these drafts. The Detroit Lions are a team that's been on the up and up. They broke the NFL record for attendance at the draft. Now you go to Green Bay. That's a whole different looking fan base, which is really excited to host that event. And we know that Pittsburgh has one of the biggest fan bases in the NFL as well. So when you appeal to that big of a fan base at their home city, home state, whatever it may be, you're just asking to make more money. So that's exactly what the NFL is doing.
Well, let's stay with the Pittsburgh. Who's going to win the battle, or is it a battle between Wilson and Fields at the quarterback spot? I see there's a lot of competition, friendly competition, but, man, it looks like it's going to be a for real battle, dare I say?
Let me tell you, this is a fantastic question, because the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to put all this, I don't want to say noise. They'll put out these statements out there saying that, Russell Wilson, or all these signs, I guess, if you want to say, that Russell Wilson is going to be their QB1. But I don't know if that's 100% true. I really do feel like there is a competition behind the scenes. They're going to see how both of these players handle the reps at OTAs, handle the reps at training camp, handle the pressure throughout the preseason as well. They may not say it's a competition, but in my mind, everything's a competition. You guys played in the NFL. Your job is never guaranteed. So it is absolutely a competition in Pittsburgh, in my opinion.
Well, a competition or they're not. Deshaun Watson eventually has to live up to this guaranteed contract, man. What are the expectations for him, man, at this point in time? Because I haven't seen the Watson of the Texans yet.
The expectations are to be a legitimate contender. In the AFC, in the NFL, it's to make a playoff run. The Browns have one of the best defenses in the league. They have a great deal of playmakers around them with the addition of Jerry Jeudy as well from the Denver Broncos. Their offensive line is back healthy. The Broncos are expected to not only compete, but contend. And it all starts with the quarterback. And to your point, we all know that Deshaun Watson has not lived up to expectations. He hasn't lived up to his contract with whatever it was, $230 million fully guaranteed. I think he's missed 11 games in both of his first 2 seasons with Cleveland. The first one was due to suspension, but the second one was due to injury. So not only does he need to prove that he can stay healthy, but also be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL as well. So I've been saying, the table is set for him to show that he's a legitimate star. He's been unable to do it so far. So that's the expectation in Cleveland, is to contend, not just compete in 2024.
Well, it's always about the quarterback. And Anthony Richardson of the Indianapolis Colts is back. Should they adjust their play calling, or should he adjust his style of running the ball when they have him running the football? What do you think? And also, by the way, Bananas told us that Pittman kind of got a knee tweak or run into somebody else's knee at OTAs. Do you have any update on that as well? I know that's off the cuff.
Geez, Blaine, you're on fire with these questions today, because that's another good one. I'll tell you, it's a catch-22, because your head coach is Shane Steichen, who, in my opinion, is the best head coach, best play caller in the NFL when it comes to specifically scheming for the run. And that's a big reason why the Colts went out there and got Anthony Richardson, because of his dual threat ability. But at the same time, you have to teach this guy how to not take hits. I think I brought this stat up on your show before, but it's the most mind-blowing stat in the NFL from last season, in my opinion. Anthony Richardson played 4 games last year. Guess how many of those contests he finished healthy? Just 1. He was able to finish just 1 NFL game healthy last year without getting injured. So that's a huge question mark for Anthony Richardson. But it's a catch-22, man, because you need Anthony Richardson to run the ball for your offense to be successful, but you also need him to stay healthy as well. Now, when it comes to Michael Pittman's knee issue, I have not seen that, haven't heard that. I would, guess it's probably minor, but again, I haven't seen anything about that just yet.
There you have it. Jordan Dajani, NFL writer for CBS Sports.
Let's just go ahead and expand that conversation we're having about Anthony Richardson to the rest of this very young group of quarterbacks within this AFC South division. You're mentioning, a plight that Shane Steichen would have, which is having Anthony Richardson play under more control. It's the same thing that Brian Callahan said of his quarterback, Will Levis, going into year 2. He didn't want him to take those unnecessary, collisions that he can very well avoid. But where does this division go, Jordan, in your opinion? Is it the Houston Texans with their second-year quarterback, C.J. Stroud? Does Jacksonville still have something to say about that? Trevor Lawrence is set to get the payday. What are your thoughts about the AFC South, Jordan?
So I will take the Houston Texans to repeat as division champs, but I will say right now that I'm not as confident as maybe the rest of the national media is in that take, because I really do feel like the Jacksonville Jaguars have something to say about that. If you guys actually go back and watch the tape, Trevor Lawrence was playing some really good football towards the middle part of the season before he suffered injuries from his head down to his toes. That's what really derailed Jacksonville's campaign. You could have made the argument that he shouldn't have even been playing in that regular season finale with how injured he was, but of course he's a competitor. So the Jaguars are an interesting team. I'll also bring up that they hired defensive coordinator Ryan Nielsen over from Atlanta. He's someone who really turned that defense around, so there's reason for optimism on that side of the ball with Jacksonville. Then the Indianapolis Colts, they're a huge question mark. What if Anthony Richardson is a Cam Newton clone? They had a pretty good defense last year as well. I think they were one of 3 teams to have several different players with 8 sacks. I forget the statistic off the top of my head. But the Tennessee Titans, they're another interesting team as well that we've talked about through the course of this interview. What if Will Levis takes that next step into superstardom? What if Denard Wilson's defense is one of the more fun ones in the league? They could be division champs. So the AFC South, all of a sudden, it's gone from an afterthought in the NFL to one of the most intriguing divisions in the entire league.
He is Jordan Dajani, covers the NFL for CBS Sports. He joins us here every single week. And as always, Jordan, you've been fabulous. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all. Have a good show.
All right. JD right there. Yeah. Hey, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we have our last segment of the show. We've got a number of topics out there that you can jump in on if you'd like at 737-1045. We are brought to you by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. He's Blaine Bishop. I'm Brad Hopkins. More from us in just a few minutes. Stick around.
This summer, NASCAR is back, and at Nashville Superspeedway, June 28th through the 30th for Ally 400 race weekend. That's right, guitars and fast cars right here in Music City. From the campgrounds to the track, you won't want to miss the excitement. This is the fourth year that Ally has been entitled sponsor for the Ally 400. The first Ally 400 in 2021 was the first NASCAR Cup Series race at Nashville Superspeedway since 1984. So be there this year and be part of history in the making. In the previous 3 years, Allies 400, there have been 3 different winners. So come see who will take the checkered flag this year. Maybe I'll be waving the flag. Who knows? And in true Music City fashion, the Ally 400 will have a pre-race concert with soon-to-be-determined artists. So more details to come. So get your tickets now to watch your favorite drivers to take on the 1.33 miles of concrete chaos. So visit NashvilleSuperspeedway.com. That's NashvilleSuperspeedway.com to lock in your spot at the Rackley Roofing 200, Tennessee Lottery 250, and the Ally 400 right now today.
That was great stuff from CBS Sports' very own Jordan Dajani. We now turn our attention to what will take place in an hour and a half, especially if you're a Vols baseball fan. The Commodores come a-calling after they advanced past the Florida Gators last night to take them on in round 2 of double elimination at the SEC tournament down there in Hoover. And we were talking about this earlier before the show started. Neither one of us excelled in baseball, did we?
Oh, no, I was horrible.
I was horrible, too.
Outfield, I was great, but with my range. But batting, oh, no, I would get lucky and get a hit every now and then. That wasn't good enough. You know, it's a game of failure batting. I fail way too often. I probably batted .82.
Is that? I don't even know what.
I don't either. I get lucky on the fastball, but other than that, I had way too much aggression at the plate.
I was scared to get hit in the box, man. I'm just.
Oh, you were?
Gonna stand in
I
there.
wasn't that. I wanted to kill the ball, and that's not a recipe for success.
Saw a couple of kids get hit between the shoulder blades, and that was a wrap for me. You know.
Oh, yeah.
JB, you ever play baseball?
Oh, I grew up playing baseball all the way through high school.
Nice. Were you pretty good? Were you any good?
No.
Okay.
What position you play? Pitcher?
Growing up, I was a middle infielder. I usually played second base and outfield. And then to start off high school, I was an outfielder. And then my last 2 years of high school, I was a pitcher.
Your last year?
My last 2 years, I transitioned to a bullpen.
See, when I look at your body type, I see pitcher.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep. My last 2 years, I pitched.
That's what I said.
5'10"? You see pitcher?
No. Oh, yeah. High school. You talking about high school?
Oh,
we never
It is
did
high
play
school.
college.
Yeah.
So
I was not good enough to go to college.
No, long torso, long arms, not real muscular build. Most of those guys are great pitchers. I'm not degrading them. I'm doing this, giving you the scouting report.
I've showed Blaine this, but I have a video on my phone of one of my first outings in my senior year. I threw a slider and just got hammered and went over the fence. And you can hear in the background one of the guys in the stands going, "Get out here, ball!
Get out here! Get out! Get going!"
And so I have a video of me giving up a home run in my senior year.
You know, my best baseball memory is I did hit a home run in Little League.
Oh.
But my coach had called timeout before I took the bat, and he didn't tell me.
Oh.
They didn't stop play. So listen, I struck out continually because first off, I was just watching that baseball come at my noggin, what I thought every time, right?
Uh-huh.
But there was just one instance where we were playing the Airedales. I remember their team very distinctly. Got a fastball inside, and I caught that rascal just perfect, and it went right over the center field line. There was no better feeling, Blaine, as I'm jogging the bases, right? And as I round third base, and all my teammates are staying at home plate, just can't wait to hug me and celebrate me. I'm looking at my coach. He's the only one not smiling. And as I got into the home plate and touched home plate, and everybody's cheering me on because they knew what a terrible batter I was and what a great moment that was for me, he looked at me and he had both hands on my shoulders and he said, "I called timeout. You got to do it again."
And nuts and bolts, and you could never duplicate that again.
Three pitches, and I was in the dugout.
Never fails, right?
I swung at every single one of them too. It was absolutely terrible.
Yeah, the hitting part of baseball was not my strength at all. I was terrible at the plate. I could bunt. Now I could lay down a pretty mean bunt.
Oh,
but
I
that's
got
about
tired
it.
of them saying bunt to me. I'm like, dang, you basically tell me I can't bat.
Oh, I knew I could. I knew I could bat.
I could bat.
Well, I don't know, but the 2 seed here in the SEC tournament, the Razorbacks, they're down in the top of the 7 to the Gamecocks, 4-2.
As I said, baseball's a little funny.
I know.
Now, South Carolina, they ended their regular season getting swept by Tennessee, but they're a team that is pretty good. They got good arms. They can get hot at the plate. I know before yesterday, they had gone 90 plate appearances without an extra base hit. Then they hit a home run yesterday, and then they hit a grand slam yesterday, and now they're putting up hot. They've gotten a 2-run home run today against Arkansas, who is just a historically good program. They have the SEC Pitcher of the Year on Arkansas too. I don't think he pitched today, but South Carolina, dangerous team.
Yeah. Kind of like the Commodores, especially in the latter end of the lineup. We saw Matthew Polk and Braden Holcomb get 2 RBIs apiece, one in each of the second and the fourth inning to actually give Vanderbilt the lead, of which was insurmountable for the Gators. I know that Michael Robertson, he did homer in the top of the 9th to drive home a couple of runs, but it seemed like Vandy was definitely in control. And I liked hearing Bryce Cunningham talk about what Tim Corbin shared with them about being yourself and trusting what they can do. So, like you just said, Baseball is one of those streaky sports. They could very well take some momentum that they gained from the Florida win and do some stuff. Not saying they're going to knock off Tennessee, but you thought that there might have been, less of an effort given the fact that they've got bigger fish to fry. Talking about the Vols, that might be the case. Maybe they're playing bullpen ball so that way they can keep fresh arms and do some of that stuff. Are we going to take a phone call? Should we take a phone call here or no,
Last
JB?
one? Yeah, let me answer it to who it is first.
Yeah. I saw a couple of guys wanted to jump in there, maybe have a few final parting words of wisdom since we've been talking about a lot today. And, of course, at 4:30, if you're on the SEC network, you will see Vanderbilt and Tennessee.
Oh, I'm all in right there. Front row seat.
Because I'm sure we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
And I know tomorrow we'll catch up with Coach
yeah.
Mack, but there may be somebody we can catch up with to talk about the SEC tournament, what that means for the national tournament, lining things up, what, the regional, which might be hosted, which obviously will be hosted in Knoxville. How favored will the Volunteers be? Let's bring in Scott. He's in the car. He wants to talk about baseball home run story. I want to hear this, Scott. What's going on, man?
Doubt.
Welcome in. You're on with Blaine and Brad. What's on your
Got
mind?
the same similar story as B-Hop?
What's up, fellas? No, not same story. I think I can one-up B-Hop on the disappointment level of a quote-unquote home run. So I played ball all the way up through college. I played a little college ball. I played through high school. And in high school, we were playing our rival, and I hit 2 home runs on 2 consecutive pitches, but they were both foul by about a foot. And then I struck out on the next pitch.
That's the worst. Man, at least you went yard almost. Like, good stuff, Scott.
I just that just made me think of that. I had to share it with
I'm glad you shared it with us. Thank you, brother. Take care.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right.
We all been there, done that.
Hey, life is full of disappointments, though, right? It's how you handle them.
Yeah,
I think that's what separates, sometimes a lot of professional athletes from those that would want to be professional athletes. It's how we handle the disappointments in life, because those days do come. You got to have short-term memory. I know we've heard that.
Yeah. That's tough, though. Easier said than done, though.
Yeah, it is. It's been a great show. Thank you to CBS Sports' very own Jordan Dajani for joining the show. We're going to catch up tomorrow with Coach Mack with the Mack Attack. He's been at the NFL owners meetings that have been here in Nashville all week. What you got, JB?
Go Vols. We're going to beat Vandy. I'm going to call it right now. My early shot of the week.
Early shot of the week. Go ahead, man. What you got?
I'm feeling upset.
Ooh, I'm with you on that. I want to see it happen. So where we going, Blaine?
But as always, Titan
up.
There you go.